So you went to Emerson and you majored in television. But how'd you end up here? How'd you end up in LA? What did you do before Intern Sushi?
I majored in television. I moved out to LA. I interned at a bunch of television and film production companies. And one day I ended up having my internship coordinator say there's an opening for an assistant to a really big producer. You should go up for the interview. You won't get the job because you're an intern and you've never had much experience, but you should go interview.
How much time did you have before you had to graduate?
I hadn't even graduated. I was about to graduate 4 months later. So
Okay.
this is the end of my senior year. And
Okay.
so I went up for the interview and I sat with this producer eventually after 4 or 5 rounds, and he said, "Why should I hire you?" And I said, "Because I've interned for these people and I can figure anything out." And I think that confidence gave him the comfort to hire somebody who had never been an assistant before. And so I started as his assistant. I was awful. I screwed up everything. To the point where one day he was like, "Did you even go to college?" And I was like, "Going to college has nothing to do with your preferences." But that's the film business, and it's about just working your way up. So I started as an assistant, and a couple years later, still as an assistant, I was reading every script I could possibly find. I was meeting every assistant who I knew could tell me how they had climbed. I met with executives, and finally I said, "You know what? I'm going to be a producer, so I'm going to start producing now. And as long as I don't screw up my assistant job, there's no reason that I can't find material and start developing projects." And Mark, who was my boss, he said, "You know what, as long as you're getting my job done and your assistant stuff, I don't care what you do on the side." And so that was my opportunity. And so I ended up setting up a couple movies at Universal and at DreamWorks as an assistant, and he said, "What am I going to do? You're doing the job of my executive, so I'm going to promote you." And that's when I got promoted to, at first, a creative executive, and then a director of development. And when I first got promoted, I said to him, "You know what? You have a million shows on the air, you have a million films in development, but you don't have a new media or digital department. And what we could do to develop material for an online audience that could ultimately grow and give us endless cross-platform opportunities," I said, we have to go this direction. He said, "Well, I don't know anything about it, but if you want to run the show, go ahead, see what you can do." And so that was the way I differentiated myself as an executive when I first got promoted. And I didn't become just another film executive. I became someone who was meeting different kinds of people because I was exploring different opportunities for the company. And that's what you have to do. You have to figure out how to stand out. And ultimately I grew to a VP, and then I had always kept Intern Sushi in my back pocket. It was a company I started one summer of college while I was interning, when I figured out that there was an opportunity for a marketplace online for interns. And one day I pitched him the idea, and I said, "You know, I have this company on the side that he knew about, but he knew I wasn't working on it on his time." And I said, "And the idea is to completely reinvent the internship process." And Mark, being a huge proponent of mentorship and of internships in general and just educating young talent, he said, "Well, what is it?" And when I pitched him the idea, he was like, "I'm in. Let me invest and work with you to get this off the ground." And so I ultimately turned my boss into my biggest investor, which is a testament to the work that I did for him, but also the most tremendous opportunity that doesn't fall from the sky. But it was a systematic order of events that made him comfortable with giving me his money, which is a far greater gift than just paying someone's salary. To say, not only am I going to pay your salary, but I'm betting my money on you.
Okay, so when I started QLC, I wish somebody had said to me, "You're going to have no time. This is going to take up a huge part of your life." Never expected it. What do you wish someone had told you before you took the leap to starting your own company?
With my company in particular, I think that it would have been great had somebody told me, only worry about your audience. Everything you do, go back to your audience, whether it's the size of your audience and growing your audience, whether it is what your audience thinks of every little feature, whether it is what does your audience think of your logo. Always go back to your audience, because it doesn't matter what you think. At the end of the day, the best entrepreneurs are the ones who look to their customers and look to their audience in general and say, "You tell me what to do." And if I look to my audience to direct me, then I'm fine. But if I go in and say, "It has to be this way," I'll fail. It's all about what they tell me to do, and I'm at their beck and call. And if I can produce my company that way and direct it that way, that's how I'll be successful.
How do you have a personal life? Do you have a personal life? Do you schedule Do you schedule time with your friends?
I do. I don't have to schedule it, luckily. I mean, you have to just make sure that you take breaks. And so whether it is doing bar method, which I love, or whether it's just stopping, it's so important. You need it. Mm-hmm. So the people who say they work 24 hours a day, nobody does that because you can't, because you need to take time to breathe and you need to take time to have fun. And even though for me what I do is really fun too, you need to just stop and talk about other things because that's how you learn and grow.
Are you happy?
Of course. I mean, I have the world at my fingertips should I choose to take it, and I believe anybody does. And so for people who feel like they don't have a chance, they just haven't created a chance for themselves. I don't think opportunity is a gift. I don't think that things will fall from the sky, because they won't. You have to literally go after what you want, and there's no greater fun or freeing or exhilarating moment in life than being able to try to accomplish something that somebody hasn't accomplished, or to be able to solve problems. For me, I mean, there's no more fun, and I could not discover a greater happiness than fixing something. And so that's what I'm doing, is trying to fix things.
Do you feel like you're missing anything in your life right now? Anything that you really wish you had that could kind of complete your circle?
Time. I think that if I just had time in a day where I could read a book, or where I could just go for a walk, the things that like a lot of people take for granted, I wish I had. I wish I just could really actually stop, because even when I stop and hang out with my friends, I'm always thinking, okay, well, oh wait, I have to do that, or like, how does this connect to that? And I just wish that I could freeze time, and for 1 minute everyone would be frozen too, so we all wouldn't have to worry about, well, if I'm not talking to this person, they're off doing this. So that's something that like I don't think I'll ever have, but I will be able to make that possible for myself if I excel at what I need to excel at right now.
Take a break.
Yeah, sleep.
Yes, or sleep.
Yeah.
I have to schedule naps for myself.
Yeah, that's good. I'm envious of that.